BJJ is just like karate. Today, I'm going to tell you why BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, will end up just like karate. In a lot of ways, it already has. Now, I'm going to get beat up on YouTube in the comments below speaking like this, but it has to be said. Now, if you do take the time to comment below, be nice about it. You know, there's a lot of people that have a lot of different opinions. I can take it, but, you know, there's going to be a lot of comments back and forth. Stop the name calling. Don't do that kind of stuff. Go ahead and give your sincere beliefs on what you think BJJ and karate are and the similarities or differences between them. If you like my channel, please subscribe. It helps out a lot. Please click the like button, but please definitely comment below. Now, to start with, we need to determine what karate has become and where did it start from, right? So in the 60s and 70s, karate was a very no holds barred, a lot of injuries, a lot of brutality in the training, in the competitions. And over the years, starting in the late 80s, 90s, and definitely into the 2000s up until today, it has become much, much more kid-centric. The other thing that happened to karate, or karate has evolved into, is just more keeping kids' interest more. Very similar to the previous reason, belts. They've become a lot more belts. Traditionally, karate had maybe up to 10 Q ranks, 10 belt levels before black belt. Now there's stripes and camouflage and just all different types of different belts to keep the interest, so that instructors in schools can shorten the time between tests and to give those kids a little bit more motivation and want to stay in the program. Because it's become more kid-centric, recognize that schools and instructors and organizations have taken out the brutality of karate and inserted a lot of kids, kid-centric programs. They hardly do any sparring anymore, a lot of programs. Some don't do any at all, which is crazy to me. They put a lot of emphasis on character traits, values, that sort of thing. They take 10, 15, 20 minutes discussing this kind of stuff. They put a lot more emphasis on the forms, the individual stuff rather than the actual fighting. Now, I'm not here to hate on karate, BJJ, or any other martial art, but what I'm saying is BJJ is becoming, if not already become, just like karate and Taekwondo. And I'm here to state it because if BJJ and the practitioners, the instructors, the schools do not want it to become that way, something needs to be done ASAP. Now I'm going to read you something from Hixson Gracie, who is one of the major players in BJJ and one of the Gracie family members, just an unbelievable all-around martial artist and person. I'm going to read something, a quote from him. So here you go. Quote, "In the past, when we arrived in the U.S., we were teaching jiu-jitsu to karate black belts, who at the time felt like they knew everything. When they got exposed to real jiu-jitsu, they would say that they lost 20 years of their lives doing karate, and now they realized what the real thing is. So somehow when I got to a BJJ seminar these days, or when I go to a BJJ seminar these days, I get the same impression from jiu-jitsu black belts. They're like, wow, I never thought this really existed in jiu-jitsu. If we don't do something very soon, jiu-jitsu will lose its fight identity." And that's coming from Hixson Gracie. So the first similarity between BJJ and karate / Taekwondo, if you will, is that they both had major explosions early on that catapulted them into mainstream, everyday people's lives. Karate, it In the 60s and 70s, it was a very, very brutal training tournament type of art. Only adults were training at those times. Chuck Norris, Skipper Mullins, Joe Louis, just to name a few of the famous legendary karateka back in the 60s and into the 70s. Bruce Lee had a huge impact of bringing martial arts in general, but karate, Taekwondo, which was the overall the biggest player in martial arts in the U.S. To the forefront. Okay, in the 80s, Chuck Norris's movies became really, really popular. A lot of the martial arts genre, the kung fu movies became really, really popular. Obviously, the Karate Kid. That's when a lot of kids started putting a lot of emphasis into wanting to learn martial arts, and specifically karate and Taekwondo. 1988, Herb Perez won a medal at the Olympics in Taekwondo, and really the 90s was the real explosion of kids into karate. So, Shawn, why does that mean that BJJ will end up just like karate and Taekwondo? Well, let's look back on the three things that happened to karate. First, kids started to become really, really important as students in the training, okay, in the schools. And so then the schools started teaching specifically to students that were younger. They started putting in more kid-centric type of training, taking sparring out of the training. The brutality of the training and competition started to go by the wayside. They added belts to keep the interest of the younger students. Now, the same thing is happening with BJJ. You know, in the early 90s, the Gracies came to the U.S. to try to make jiu-jitsu popular. They started the UFC, and a lot of people took to it. But not until the mid-2000s was BJJ became really, really, really popular due to the mainstream nature of the UFC. It was on major television, not just in pay-per-views. And then parents started putting their kids in BJJ. They started taking classes for themselves. And that's really where the explosion happened. Now you see them on every corner. The next thing is that BJJ is being taught as a sport predominantly in the schools now. Almost exclusively, instructors are teaching to the sport of jiu-jitsu rather than to the art of jiu-jitsu. And now I think that's a wonderful thing. It keeps people training. There's a competitive edge to it. There's a lot of good that comes from sport BJJ, just like sport karate. The intensity of the competition. There's just so much that sport BJJ and sport karate brings to those schools and to those arts. But recognize that when you start training specifically for the sport aspect, you lose a lot of the combatives aspect. Rules of the sport dictate what the training's going to be like. For instance, you're going to see people dropping in a guard, obviously a lot more. It's just from karate, Taekwondo, and BJJ, the sport aspect will take over if it hasn't already, and all of the self-defense stuff will be lost in translation. Now, BJJ is falling into that same trap. Kids are predominantly training in their centers now. Now, not to the extent of karate and Taekwondo, but you can see the influx of kids. Adults recognize the nature of BJJ. It's not necessarily the gentle art that a lot of instructors have said it was. There's a lot of injuries. Obviously, the expectations are very, very high in BJJ, so it's exhausting, and a lot of adults just aren't interested in putting that effort into their training. Now, many of you are going to say, Yeah, Shawn, you don't understand. Dude, I understand it better than most do. Um, I recognize that BJJ is the martial art of the time right now, and it's done a lot for martial arts in general. I enjoy training BJJ, but recognize that all martial arts go through this transition from when it starts out in a certain demographic audience, general area, and it undergoes this transformation. And so the instructors, the people that are participating in it, need to recognize what's happening. If it will change over time, very similar to Krav Maga. I have a video about Krav Maga and how it's changed over the years here in the U.S. Please take a look at that. BJJ is at a critical point right now. It will change. The question is to what? And if it's going to be something that we see it in the future as better or worse, I think will be an individual question for each of us. Now, take the time to tell me in the comments below just how crazy I am, or if you agree with me. I would really, really appreciate a like and a subscribe hit on that button right there. Look forward to seeing you guys next time.